Hi guys, so in this video this is just going to be my tips and advice for the verbal reasoning section of the Ucat exam. So undoubtedly the thing that makes verbal reasoning such a tricky section is the time pressure. You have very little time to answer questions that often require you to read a long convoluted passage, and because there's time pressure, you have to accept that it's unlikely that you're going to be able to answer all of the questions, or at least able to answer all of them accurately. So when answering verbal reasoning questions, there's two techniques that you can use. The first strategy that some people advise is to quickly skim read the passage, get an idea of what the passage is about, and then answer the question from there. Other people advise that you read the question first and then look for the answer. Both work, but personally for me, I found that the much more efficient and quick, less time-consuming way was to look at the question, look for the key words in the question. That could be a name, a place, or a date, and then quickly go and scan the passage, look for that key word in the question, and once you've found the key word, quickly read the few sentences around that word, and then come up with an answer. That was what I used, and it allowed me to get more questions done than I think skim reading the passage and then answering the question would have. That is personal preference, and I would advise that you maybe try both techniques and see which is quicker for you, because it does vary on which suits you better depending on your reading speed. Because of the time pressure, I think in order to ensure that you can answer as many questions as possible in the time, I think you need to learn to recognise which questions are going to take you a long time and which are going to be more straightforward and easier. So when I did my test, I aimed to answer all of the yes, no or can't tell questions, as they are generally more straightforward. You can look at the statement given to you, you can look for the keywords in it such as a name, place or date, just quickly scan the passage for that and then quickly get an answer. So I would say aim to do all of them. Even you could just try and do them first straight away. Don't do the questions chronologically, but instead aim to do all of the yes, no, can't tell questions, as these will take you much less time. I think it's important to watch out for the questions where you're, say, given several kind of fairly vague statements. Maybe they don't have any keywords like names, places, dates, whatever, and you're going to have to do a lot of reading of the passage to try and identify the right answer. For them, I would just skip them. You can come back if you have time, but I would flag, skip, and move on to questions that are more straightforward, because I think you have to avoid the really long ones if you want to make sure you answer the majority of questions. Another thing that I would recommend in order to optimise your verbal reasoning performance is to practice speed reading. As I say, the passages are long, it's critical that you can minimise the time that you spend reading that passage, and so I think it's really important to try and practice your speed reading. You can do that just by even just reading a book, just try and work and kind of reading it more quickly but still taking in information from it. You can practice looking at articles online. You can maybe even look at kind of medical articles online, as these are similar to the content you might come across in verbal reasoning passages. Or even, I think there's speed reading apps. I think there's an app, Spreader, S-P-R-D-R, I believe, on the App Store. It can help you improve your speed reading. Mainly just make sure you're reading and working on quickly reading and understanding the information presented to you in the passage, because I think if you can increase your reading speed, you can do questions much more efficiently, and that will allow you to answer more questions and hopefully get a better score.